Swollen beyond recognition, diamond instead of teeth, strewn like rice at Karma's wedding. The ring bearer bore bad news, minister of information wrote the wrong proclamation. Now everyone's singing the wrong song. Dissonant chords find necks like nooses. That nigga kicked the chair from under my feet. Harlem shaking from a rope but still on beat. Damn, that loop is tight. Nigga found a way to sample the way, the truth, the light. Can't wait to play myself at the party tonight. Niggas are gonna die. Cop car swerve to the side of the road. Hip hop takes its last breath. The cop scrawls vernacular manslaughter onto a yellow pad. The balls of paper in his hand. Decide he'd rather freestyle. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. And maybe you should have before your bullshit manifested. Telegram to hip hop. Dear hip hop, stop. This shit is going too far. Stop. Please see that turntable and mix her return to Cool Herc. Stop. The ghettos are dancing off beat. Stop. The master of ceremonies have forgotten that they were once slaves and have neglected the occasion of this ceremony. Stop. Perhaps you shouldn't have encouraged them to use cordless microphones as they have walked too far from the source of our emitting a lesser frequency. Stop. Please inform all interested parties that cash nor murder have been included to the list of elements. Stop. That's enough. Stop with cash and murder. This is, I wrote this book in 1999 as my daughter's mom and I were transitioning from romantic partners to partners in parenting. And the interesting thing about this story was that it was also a time where she was stepping into this zone of her own power, reading bell hooks and Sark books and Wee Moon calendars, and, St. John's wort crystals and coloring books all around the house, and she was glowing, and I was, somewhat wary of the fact that all of that glowing had very little to do with me, and then it was '99, and it was, the turn of the millennium, and everyone's saying, we're entering a matriarchal age, and she was having all these, like friends, these women friends over, and they were, reading, books like Her Blood is Gold, about, the history of menstrual cycles and its connection to communion and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, this is amazing, where do I fit in, this is amazing. And we were experimenting, with being young and being parents, and I had read, Temple of My Familiar by Alice Walker when I was 17, so I was like, I don't believe in marriage, and all this stuff, and I believe that we should have, separate bedrooms so that, we can invite each other into each other's space and never have to sleep in the same bed when we have disagreement. We were really young and experimental, like, yeah, let's do it that way, but it wasn't really working. And so I wrote this book as we were going through this transformation, and the name of the book is She, but you'll notice that there's an S with a square root sign over the E, because what was happening is that over the course of the 6 to 8 months that I had these, pivotal journal entries that all began with, she did this today, she said this today, she did this, and then she said this today, and I was kind of depressed, but I was kind of enjoying it, because it was the first time I ever really felt like a poet, and and I was, and finally I looked at, 6 months worth of journal entries that all began with she, and realized that there was a he within that she, and that he was me. And I realized that it wasn't that I was being victimized, but that I was finding comfort within the role of victim. And I realized the role that I was playing within the blame that I was placing. And I also acknowledged that we were shifting into a matriarchal age where all these women seemed to be shifting into a broader and greater sense of identity and self and independence and that, the unearned privilege and power that was part of the, male identity was losing ground, and that it was sincerely a time where we had to contemplate what is the role of the male within a greater matriarchal scheme. So anyway, this book basically chronicles that transformation for me. But anyway, here is it. She had nothing but time on her hands, silver rings, turquoise stones, and purple nails. I rubbed my thumb across her palm, a feather bed where slept a psalm. Yea, though I walk, I used to fly, and now we dance. I watched my toenails blacken and walked a dead trance until she woke me with the knife edge of her glance. I have the scars to prove the clock strikes with her hands. She kept her deck beneath her pillow and had promised me a reading. She stuck a bookmark in my heart and walked away. It was autumn then, the leaves suddenly flames, the sidewalks burning cinders. I walked the streets as if the sun had called me boy, mad at the world on aging feet, shuffling, her cards shuffling, my feet head to the sky, blue the clouds, her cards, the clouds, her cards shuffling, the skies, a storm passes, new clouds appear, the chariot, the priestess, the moon in broad daylight, an omen. She kept wild horses in her stables and rode bareback in search of stability. I looked on and watched like an orphan child with dreams of riding this merry-go-round. There are trap doors in my pockets where lie my parents and my admission ticket. I cannot admit to my orphan state and hope to get a horse with a saddle. I'm orphaned in her mind and she will accept no admission. Her merriness goes round in elliptical orbit. Moods gallop toward her mechanical death. Am I the suited gentleman in the carriage, the lazy-eyed blacksmith, the orphan onlooker who cannot afford admission and dreams of that blue horse striding the desolate sands to the ocean of his fears? He fears abandonment and will name his children after the return of the sun. He thought it was a distant yellow Ferris wheel. That was the first time he stood without admission. His legs, scrawny tenements, ashen and bare. His eyes, broken windows, sealed in plastic, man-made and taped to the back door of death. His face, he had one dream. She asked that I remove my dreams before entering her home. One cannot enter a courtroom bearing arms. I had decided to sharpen the edges of a certain childhood fantasy and tuck it away in my sock. Emotional lavishness can deplete memory banks. Although her parents saved and saved, she knew no baptism, which is no fault unless you have a Christian name. I do not trust her. My plan was to attack in the 43 seconds it takes eyes to adjust to moonlight after lights out. No one told me that dreams glow in the dark. I was discovered and scheduled to be lynched in her town square. I remind you, for any one of us you lynch, there's another burning witch. I once visited the lost world where black men with broken necks held the hands of charred women. They shared a love that was as beautiful as it was incestuous. Calamity makes cousins of us all. When will I begin to write about darkness and silence again? I found the time to complain about when this room does not emit sunlight, hints of an outside world, but last night I slept in the room that is visited by the sun every morning and realized the amount of noise it's also visited by. My room is dark and silent. The sun's light will not reach it. In this room you will learn to let your light so shine. You will sit in darkness, swallowed by silence, until the angel of solitude ignites your spine. 2 autumns, and I have not changed enough. I simply want to be the love song dangling from her lips, unfiltered, ever burning at the end, the beginning forever at her lips, my dreams on the tip of her tongue. She breathes clouds of mystery, once mine, smoke signals another lifetime, now dissolved into thin air, and when the mystery is gone, so is the fire. Maybe if I came in packs like wolves, but there'd still be the warning for pregnant women. Love, suffering, addiction can turn hearts yellow. I want to be the one she calls on her cigarette break, not the cause of it. Let me say that in this book, you'll find that a lot of the poems are responded to by my girlfriend at the time. Her name is Marcia Jones, and she's a renowned painter in her own right, and has other works responding to this text. So that if you want to seek it out online or what have you, her name is Marcia Jones, who's a great painter.